Sail horses. So it's the 6th new moon, and we are doing Tesla traps to find out, because this is the solar eclipse, what's the energy frequency that we're caught in. So the Tesla trap's based on the 9 single-digit numbers. 3 and 6 is the trap energy, 9 is the divine solution. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, which is when you keep adding all the numbers up, single digits. 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 8 is 16, which makes 7, 7 and 7 is 14, which makes 5, 5 and 5 is 10, and that makes a 1. So that's the trap frequency. So, horses. Just thinking how that was clip-clopping like your little hooves. We've got 1 card. So let's go for another little gallop. Nothing. So please, horses, what's the other half of their frequency trap? What's the other half of their frequency trap? Ooh, I like that card. I didn't actually see what that one was. Oi! Now then, this is a little bit of magic coming. So, what's the divine 9, please? What's the divine 9, please? What's the divine 9? Oh, levitation. It's magic. I don't usually show that, but that went and floated and dropped like magic. This is magic frequencies. Do you know, and the first card, that one's been in my head since I walked in here. I knew it was going to come up. I thought it was going to come up in the dragon reading, but obviously dragons aren't magic this month. I didn't say that, dragons, you're lovely. So we're going to go find the molecule field frequencies that we're reacting to. So we need 6 cards, please. 6 cards. Got 1, which is the same starting card for Tiger. 2, 4, card 4, and card 8 has come out. Oh, that's just too big a spillage. I'm not having that. We just need 2 cards. Can we please just have the 2 final cards, horses, please? Click, clop, click, clop, click, clop, click, clop, click, clop, click, clop, click, clop. There they are. And they were sent so beautifully. Oh, that's really weird. I don't know which way around they're meant to be. They might make me move them in a minute. We'll see. So now we need, gorgeous. Now we need 3 Muse deck cards, which is when you reach this solution. What's the pathway with this solution? No. Oh, you see, it wants that one, so I won't let me put it back in. Okay. And there will be an outcome card that I will add at the very end, but I don't like to see what the outcome is till we've read what we're on already. So, horses, everyone has 3 and 3 is 6. 6 and 6 is 12. 1 and 2 is 3. So the trap is the 3 and the 6, the 6 and the 3 frequency. So you begin with me. Dun, dun, dun. Time Master. Sorry, you need to look at it a bit more. So the Time Master is an interdimensional being, as are everybody. We're all interdimensional beings. The point is, horses, you're aspecting it at the moment. It's part of your frequency. There's all kinds of, they're kind of metal plates, dimensional time codes in the background of the card, all around the edge. And they're like a whole series, and you have to turn each dial to the exact shape. This is that colander of time notion that I keep being shown, which is that at the moment the world's biggest energies are all lining up with smaller fractal sizes, right the way down to DNA, but they all have to match, and it's like trying to thread a stick through a whole series of circular colanders with many holes in, but the stick has to go through all the right holes, so each fractal inside has to be turned to get the next part in, so that it will go all the way through and back out again. And this is something that the cosmos has been doing with the planets. It's a natural part of the process at the moment. So this is 57, which is a 12. 12s are really interesting because they're 12 months of the year, 12 hours. 12 as a time division, 12 houses in the zodiacs, both Western and Chinese. 12 is a very deeply spiritual number, and it began in Babylon. And it's cosmic knowledge that was the need for things to be divided into the even dozen. Partly because, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Thank you. So during the age of Pisces, 12 rules. It's 12 is the frequency. But during the age of Aquarius, it's 13, because that's the divine feminine number. There are 13 full moons this year. And it's a very sacred, feminine, creative, birthing number, which is why some cultures see it as unlucky, because it's important to downplay the importance of any feminine frequencies. But actually, they had to be kind of downplayed. I don't want to excuse all the awful things that go on for women. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that within the old energies, everything was structured on a 12, which was raw masculine. And now we're coming towards this divine feminine, which is 13s, which is transformation. It's the death card in tarot. So you are frequencying with the time master. You've got this kind of cosmic, interdimensional shit going down. So what's the other end of the trap? It's the luminous warrior. And it's almost like there is no trap, but there is. It's becoming a luminous warrior. Oh, that's really interesting. So this is erudite thought, holding open fields in between dimensions. This is doing the same thing, but bringing it into the physical world, a transformation, becoming something new, standing in your beacon of light. Now, these two cards together, I want to say 575 to you. And 237 in reverse. 237 is a magic number for me. These two cards spent a long time haunting me as ideal companions. But actually, it's about the connection between you and your frequency of your molecules and your frequency of consciousness. This is kind of very starseedy, as is this. But these used to be seen as the cards kept coming up as soulmates, but they're not. They're one thing. They're a little bit like Ninlil, the god, the Babylonian god who separated heaven and earth so that he could create space for mankind inside, and that was the 12 frequency. And then when that frequency turns over and becomes divine feminine, it becomes a 13 frequency. So this is, again, it's that flipping. The luminous warrior is a time master in reality. This is conceptual, this is physically actually there, and it's DNA changing. So, where do you begin? You begin, you see, I don't want this to be about the norms, but I don't think it is. It's just that we've got two threes to begin with. And in the Tiger, it was about the norms. It's not even about traffic lights. This is about 3 ages of man and 3 ages of woman. Okay. So, this is raw masculinity, emotional masculinity, divine masculinity. So, the concept, you see, because Pentacles are real world, you begin understanding the elements of the real world and how to apply them in consciousness to great interdimensional inner realm work. And this this tapestry is unweaving. It's being wound up. It's interesting because yesterday this card came out in the Tiger reading, and the thing I noticed, and they want me to show it again, is how this figure here has no hand. It's trying to say that in your Time Master consciousness, there are molecules that just won't exist anymore because they're changing. And that's not a problem. That's a beautiful thing. It's a very high concept. Oh, ringing. So, the second step in this frequency changing, and it has to do with earthbound energies. You've got the root in the red, orange sacral, green higher heart. What's missing in this card is happiness, because as we're unraveling the male energies of the age of Pisces, it's like all the happiness has been drained. It's all vanished away. You see, now I'm getting another message from them about those 2 cards. I'm going to still leave them where they are for the moment, but I think they want me to change them. I'm going to bring it down to remind me. And now we have the Time Master's application of cosmic elements. This is the 3 of Cups. This is the 3 ages of woman. And it's the truth, because there's a siren. So, I don't know which is which, but raw feminine, emotional feminine, divine feminine. You're able to understand this changing of energies. There's something to do, they're saying, with another. They're saying to me that this is... There's a card coming later, and they're really drawing my attention to it, and I don't want to bring it up yet. But they're saying that this is flip side energy, Enlil, Ninlil, but it's also to do with someone else. I don't know what yet. It's got something to do with a mind meld. It might be your higher self. Let's see what gives as we go further on. So The Three of Cups, as they stand in fields of lavender, which is beautiful. I could do with standing in some fields of lavender. Okay, so I've now looked at this and I've decided that this one with the tattoo on, she must be the raw feminine. This one must be the emotional feminine, and they're all being embraced by the divine feminine. So, not that you needed to know that, I just think I needed to. Where does this understanding of the balance between the masculine molecules and the feminine consciousness take this Time Master energy? It's about creating, changing code, but it's about being, I know it says the King of Swords, but it's to be the Zen of Swords, to be in balance with the masculine and feminine. This is what you're applying. Your inner shadow work so hugely expansive at the moment that you've put down all the elements of warring. This is about transformation. This is ancient knowledge. There's a dragonfly just here. Dragonflies are totally fascinating. They live, oh, that's really interesting. They live at the bottom of a pond in this current masculine age we're living in. And when dragonflies are in the bottom of the pond, they're called nymphs. And they can live there for 2 months if that's their cycle, or a few years. And then one day they suddenly climb up, just like this dragonfly did, but the nymph climbs up and it sticks its head out of the water, and then it waits while its DNA is transformed, just as I was saying just now, that this energy that you're dealing with, the unraveling of things, its DNA changes so that it can start to breathe air rather than water. And as soon as that's complete, then the next part is to walk a little bit further out of the water, and then at the back of its head, the exoskeleton of the nymph cracks open, and from inside, not in a chrysalis or anything, the actual exoskeleton was the chrysalis. The dragonfly pulls its entire self out, and it's all sort of squashed up, and it pulls itself out, and then it, now that it's got air, it pumps the air through its whole body and unfurls its wings so that they're out, and then it just waits to dry. So you're in this waiting position. You've got a bat for transformation, spirits watching down. It's the natural process, and life is blooming. There's an owl. This is very deeply cosmically spiritual magic. And I still don't know about those two cards. It's so funny. So then how do you apply this information to the world that you're heading towards? You have the Five of Swords, and this is, usually it's like I can't hear, but do you know what this is? It's like having a hangover. It's like this transformation that you're going on at the moment is so huge that you are feeling like your brain is beginning to press inside your skull, because you're understanding so much of interdimensional magic. And you're leaving behind so much now, so much to transform. So you're becoming dragonfly. This is when you first apply this knowledge to you. This is you back in nymph stage. How do you become the dragonfly? Now I know which way it goes now, you see. So it's almost too much, and yet the natural world is creating that energy to transform you, just like it does with the dragonfly. And then your next step is to bloom into the world. Queen of Pentacles. I mean, the energy of this card, they're saying it's this thought process, this cosmic code keying is your nymph. Damselflies are dragonflies. Is your nymph to dragonfly or damselfly transformation into the real world, earthed, comforted, safe. There's blossoms around. This is just, the energy from these two cards is so warm. So, then, this is that energy again of the transformation, the chrysalis that isn't, but is the new DNA shaping of you. And it's so powerful that it's creating a magician energy. Now, I have to sit with this card for a moment because this card is usually raw masculine energy, and I'm being told it's actually divine masculine energy, but you're not understanding that. Why? That's very odd. The magician is always raw masculine. The magician conjures things for his own selfish ends. This is conjuring divine masculine energy, or you should be. There's the 4 elements and then the 5th element of ether. They're all floating around. Okay. So this, it's like you've been stuck because every time you do this sense of transformation, every time you get these dreams, it expands your mind to pull you between these wonderful cosmic energy transformation and changes. You keep landing here as raw masculine, and you're sent back to the beginning of the puzzle to unravel it again. And then you do the whole process again, and you think, I've got it this time, I've worked it out, I've changed it. And then you land, and you're emotional masculine, and you begin to manifest a better future, and you find yourself back here again. And then you do the same thing again, and you come back, and this time you're divine masculine, and you're like, it's going to work this time, I've got it, I've worked out the code now, I'm ready to do this. And you find yourself back at this point again, with it all unraveling. What's missing? Well, partly the divine masculine frequency, but what's missing is divine feminine consciousness. So that's the card that levitated and dropped. This is 33. This is the master number of the 3-dimensional world. Now, we live in the 3-dimensional world and we're heading towards the 5D world. But that 5D world doesn't happen at the flick of a switch. It's a gradual process as more and more people awaken. So the fact that this card is 33 as Divine Feminine is telling you that the Divine Feminine consciousness drops down into the earth grid. It's almost like replacing the figure at the top of this card, the male, whether he be raw, whether he be emotional or divine, and creating this new energy that is the raw, emotional and divine feminine in the real world, not just in thoughts, in the cosmos, in the Pleiades energy frequencies, but actually in the earth. So we have right below her the 5 of inspiration, and this is the Divine Feminine descending. She begins at the top and she drops down, and she's emotional and then she's raw. Divine, emotional, raw, with this emphasis on lusty sexuality that started in the 60s when women suddenly started to own the pleasure of sex. I mean, you know, they weren't allowed to before. Suddenly they were owning it. So that allows changes and transformations. And then we went through this phase of isolation. this inability to look at the truths of being a woman because it was so difficult in the world. And then finally, this moment when this divine feminine energy touches down into the Akashic records, into the earth grid to make the changes. And what happens? Boom. This is so beautiful. So this is interesting. This is a 6 and a 5, which is an 11. It's putting the energy inside the earth grid. 11 is the master number of the earth grid. And this is to be in flow. The 6 of materials is the 6 of pentacles. And massive amount of emergencies going on. You see, this is where it's not. So, I said earlier that there was a connection of another. It's not. It's this element of the triple aspected feminine energy. Never thought of it. Well, I mean, obviously I think of it as 3 energies, but it's like one supplants the other previously, but this isn't about that. It's about that energy of all 3 aspects of femininity. 3 of Cups in this deck's a very perfect example of it. So, raw and emotional femininity celebrating. Actually, I'm going to hold them the other way. And then divine femininity in the Page of Materials. And the page is like a new language in the natural world. They're both wearing rose-covered clothing, but this is about merging, mind merging, Mr. Zen of thoughts, or the balance, masculine, feminine, Zen of thoughts energy, merging with the natural world. This is this Queen of Pentacles energy, to be so protected, connected and alive within the natural world that you can't even, it's like you can't even imagine it at the moment. It's such a change, but that's a real, the level of feminine balancing energy now, and it's Hierophantrix energy. I know that's a new concept, but it's certainly one that keeps coming up. So what's the outcome then, please, when our horses get this total balance? You've got 2. Oh! So, you've got open intuition, 29, 11, seek clarification. This is, it's never been this before, but it's the divine, masculine, earth grid energy. It's never been that before. Seek clarification, open intuition, seek connection with the natural world. You have to do that. It's going to give you a bit of a headache, that 5 of Swords energy, this expansiveness that's going on within you. But seek clarification in the earth. By clarification, it's almost like telling the earth that this is coming. Just say to the earth, look, we're merging. We are merging, and things are going to be different when this happens. And where is the ultimate outcome? 17, move forward with an open mind. This is gorgeous, I love this card. No longer a time master, or a luminous warrior, or feminine magic, but a galactic healer. Horses. I don't know what else to say. That's such a beautiful card. such a beautiful card. I absolutely love this card. She's got energy antlers, full of all the rainbow colours. She's bathed in silvery lights. There's waves of emotions coming out. Her eyes are full of layer upon layer. There's new forms. So I want to say that the age of Pisces was pyramidal. This is cuboid. So it's like a new dimension, that adding of the 13th rung, or in the zodiac where they talk about that 13th sign that's missing, that some astrologers like to read in. But this is amazing. Wassail horses.